I remember when I was a young lad coming home from school one night as a Newcastle United
Putting on the oil lamp.
Putting on the oil lamp. Grandpa
Dialing up the old digital
Grandpa in the bed. I was in my bed.
What's Grandpa doing there?
I was going Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Hello and welcome back to the episode of Kickpoint, the Golf Gear Show. Thank you for joining us, and as always for your company, we very much appreciate it. Jam-packed episode for you this week. My name is Dan. I'm joined by my friend, colleague. His name is Joe the Pro. How are you, Joe the Pro?
Very well, thank you, Dan. Very well. How are you?
Oh, good. And we are pretty much actually at the end of the bulk of launch season. The last sort of major launch is coming out today, but coming up this episode, Joe, it's nearly back to normality. We've got.
Don't know why you're breathing a sigh of relief. I'm the one who does all the heavy lifting on the reviews.
But you like vicariously. I'm an empath. I'm feeling it. I'm sort of feeling it through you.
I forgot. Yeah.
So we've got a jam-packed episode back to sort of normality with the structure of Kickpoint. So if you're visiting us for the first time, this is what it's normally like. If you're an OG, you'll be ready for this. You know what's coming. So I tested this week's segment with Wilson and Mizuno today drivers and some blooming gorgeous looking irons at Astor Pod.
No, just by the way, no drivers at all. Don't know where you got drivers from.
Wilson drivers. I didn't. Did I not say that? Okay, excuse me. Wilson drivers, Dynapwr, and some Mizuno irons, which look amazing. And Astor Pod, which is about clothes. So I've perked up all of a sudden. Looking forward to that.
Looking forward to Astor Pod. Love this question.
And our guest, Ludvig Aberg, a huge top 5 golfer in the world, coming on the pod, Joe.
Been referred to as a big handsome boy by us several times on this.
Did you tell him that when you spoke to him?
I didn't. I didn't have the bottle.
No, you weren't in the same room as him. So if you say that over a voice call and it all goes quiet, he just sat there like,
yes,
that was a bit
vibe,
weird.
But yeah, lovely.
So
man.
He'll be coming up in person at the end of the show. As I said, Joe, not in here.
Oh,
but the folks watching and listening will see him. It wasn't over the phone. It was a visual medium. But as I said, we're coming up toward the end of release season, Joe, and we can just let's all. Have you enjoyed it? Let us know, because launch season for us is very, very busy. For Joe, is very, very, very busy. And
I don't like to go on about it,
I've missed the rhythm of our shows talking about other bits and stuff. But let us know if you've enjoyed launch season or not. I think, Joe, it's been sullied by the fact that brands put these embargo dates on things that we can't talk about it, yet it's in the public knowledge from November. Yet we can't talk about it until January. So by the time it all comes around and they see it, they're just like, oh, I've seen that. And then there's a bit of a,
We're sort of punished by playing by the rules, aren't we? We try and adhere to what the manufacturers want. Don't talk about it until they want it spoken about.
We do.
But everyone else is just wanging it out there. So yeah, I see.
I want to know what the folk think about launch season, because it's a job for us. For them, it's like their hobby. Are you actually interested in it? I don't know.
I wonder whether they can do something about these USGA conforming lists, whether they can. Why do they have to be public? Because that's how it all gets leaked, isn't it?
Yeah, why does it have to be public? That's a very good question. Why can't the USGA just look at it and go, yep, cool, that's our little list, we're going to keep that in a locker over here.
And that conforms to our rules, perfect. Why does that need to get out there?
Or the brands should bring up their launches forward so that the day that it comes on the USGA list, we can talk about it. We're not going, what's this all about? I don't know. That's a conversation for a different day. But that, to me, gives this launch season, this early January, or all of January period that's now gone, a bit of a deflation when it actually comes out of your mouth.
But also, I think they need to do more from a manufacturer point of view to keep it secret, because, as you've alluded to several times, those photos that come out on USGA conforming list, they are far from flattering and don't give a great first impression of product when people see it. So I don't think it sets them up for a great season of launches. I don't think it does.
I
think
want the brands to come out and just, like, you know, when an artist, a musical artist, just drops a surprise album. There's no single, there's no promotion of it on radio. It's just bang, here's an album, and everyone's like, whoa.
Right, here's the problem with the modern world, Dan.
Everyone wants everything now.
Everyone's got everything now, so no one gets those lovely surprises. I remember when I was a young lad coming home from school one night as a Newcastle United
Putting on the oil lamp.
Putting on the oil lamp.
Dialing up the old digital
Grandpa in the bed. I was in my bed.
What's Grandpa doing there?
I was going Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I don't know why. But anyway, so I came home and it was my dad said,
Grandpa's in bed.
Grandpa's in the bed again. Newcastle had sold Andy Cole to Man United, and we've got Keith Gillespie, and it was the most shocking thing. And there's no shock anymore because someone leaks everything. Then it's on Instagram, then it's on Twitter, then it's on
blue sky.
Facegram.
Yeah.
Whatever. There's no surprise
It's
anymore.
old man yells at cloud.
You got it.
So yeah, let us know what you think about launch season. As you can tell, I think we're about done with it. Which means, Joe, we can start focusing on blooming golf again. Springtime is approaching, sort of slowly here in the UK. But what are you doing this year to make your golf better? You sort of bemoaned your game a bit last year. When
I just
you were
didn't get a
working
chance
on
to
it.
play.
No, but
I
you started to
tried,
work on it, right?
Stopped and started, wanted to, couldn't, work got busy. There's always excuses, isn't there? But you've inspired me a little bit. I've seen your phone nipping off this morning.
I've got a
with
new app.
Your Bend app.
It's called Bend, Joe.
Go
and
on.
It's for stretching.
Unpaid promotion here for Bend.
I'd happily be sponsored by Bend.
Okay. Bet you would.
I bet I would. And it's just, so I might do it for my own health because I'm not going to do it. But if I just keep my legs straight and try and touch my toes, I am probably 2 feet. Is that 2 feet, would you say?
I'd say so.
About 2 feet away from touching my toes. Which is, I'm a 27-year-old slim built man. I shouldn't really be doing that.
It's not good.
And then I thought, right, this is good for my overall health. But this can only be good if I start doing the right kind of mobility exercises for my golf game and my ability to flex and to move mobility, club head speed maybe. I'll see if, I'm not going to try and gain club head speed. I'm not going to think about that.
You're hoping it's a
If I
byproduct
do,
of mobility.
So my driver's at like 102 at the minute. If I can get up to 104, 5 consistently from just doing some blinking stretching.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing this year.
Yeah, well, I've
You
been
gonna start
trying.
stretching? You join me on Bend?
I'm not a big resolution man. I could do with doing Bend. I might look into that with you. But I'm not a big New Year's resolution man. But I wanted to do it from early doors this year. But life's taken over the first part of the year. I've been painting the house,
Carpets.
recarpeting. I said to you earlier, I've done so much physical labour that I need to have a little massage or something just to reset my body. And my brain can't cope with eating well at the same time as doing that and doing it. So now I've got that off my plate. I've got a little practice area I've been putting at the back of my house by Southwest Greens, God bless them. And that gives me the opportunity to work on my game a bit really easily at home. I want to be a couple of stone lighter because I am not, referring back to something you said earlier, a visual medium at the moment. I'm a visual XL right now. I could do with just being
That's good stuff.
I could do with just being a visual. I stored that
I
one up.
enjoyed that very
I could
much.
do with just being a visual large would do me. So yeah, lose a little bit of weight, bit more mobile, work on the game, and continue to excel in my job.
This isn't a one-to-one.
Oh, sorry. I thought this was one of those.
Good stuff. So that's our resolution for golfing. Do let us know yours. Hello, if you're watching us on YouTube, get down in those comments and tell us what the hell's going on with your game. And tell us where you're from as well, because I'm interested in that sort
Dan
of thing.
loves the geography aspect of this
Love
show.
geography. Full stop.
Stop.
Geography and trains. And if you are watching us on YouTube, please do subscribe. It does help us very much. Again, we want to grow this to help you get more good content, get us get more good content, and.
Yes.
Right then, tested this week, Joe. We've got 2 brands to talk about with about 4 or 5 products. We're going to start, I believe, with Mizuno.
We are going to start.
And should we start with the thing that I think is going to blow most people's watching and listening's breath away? Be sat, everybody, the S3 iron.
Blow their breath away. Put the S3 Dyn down for a second. Intro in first, the range. There's a few little bits Mizuno are releasing. Let's give the holistic pitch first, Dan. Calm down. So there's a few little bits releasing. So 2 new irons that we're going to speak about, which Dan's just broken one there. So we've got the Mizuno Pro S3 and we've also got the JPX925 Forged. So we're going to talk about those in great depth at the moment. They're also bringing out 2 new balls, which our boss Joel is very excited about. So we've got the Mizuno Pro S and the Pro X. And bearing in mind, Joel's more important than both of us. He gets access to all the stuff he wants. Could play anything. He's pretty confident he's going to game these balls because he's seen some very impressive results in his testing. And not that it necessarily matters to him, they're coming in at about £40 a dozen. So
no one thinks about Mizuno balls, do they? It's just not a brand. You go ball, you just go.
I've not touched them, but he's adamant. Spin, ball speed, stability of flight, everything he's seeing out of them is exceptional. Not sure why that got a giggle from the crowd.
The prod squad in the back there have a little giggle. No,
something went. I'm not sure why.
They've gone very red.
Also, we've got putters. So we've got the Craft X putters. Now these are interesting. Spoken to, funny enough, just as you went for a wee, then I spoke to Sam, who looks after putters.
This was before we started.
Before we started. So they've got a new concept where they've got these Craft X putters where initially the concept is as you would just buy a putter. It's a relatively premium price tag, but they're kind of in two parts. So you can buy they come in 3 necks. So you've got the short neck, you've got the double bend, and you've got the plumber's neck. And then you just buy your putter as you normally would. But from there, you can then go direct to consumer. If you just all of a sudden don't like the look or the visual of your putter, the back bit screws off. So the sole plate and what would make it a fang putter or a mallet putter, you can detach that part. You can actually purchase another part and just rejig your putter. So have different alignment aids, a more mallet style rather than a fang, and screw it in, and you've got yourself a totally fresh new look. You're looking skeptical.
I'm feeling cynical this afternoon.
Okay.
That sounds like another reason to buy something you don't need.
Interesting.
Because if you get fitting like a putter, I know putters are a popular club to chop and change. You've got 2 or 3 in your garage maybe. And this is probably solving that, where you got the same feel and face, but you're changing the back half. The visuals,
base,
which are so
same
important.
length, same grip alignment, same loft.
You just give yourself a visual change.
You just basically giving yourself a visual change, and potentially a slight MOI change. I've yet to try it, so I couldn't tell you whether I like it or not. But initial impressions from Sam were pretty good.
Okay, fine. I'll be less cynical.
And
maybe
be open-minded, Dan.
Yeah.
You never know. You might be surprised. Some new wedges as well, T1 and T3. No new metal product from Mizuno as yet.
So that's this year in Mizuno. That's 2025 in Mizuno.
That's what we've got so far. So
far,
irons-wise...
Should we do it? Can I do it now? Finally, Jesus.
Where are you starting? S3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Isn't that good looking?
The Pro S3. So yeah, we'll get onto the other in a second. This thing is just a visual treat, is it not? It is about as good as it gets in terms of it sits very much in the better player category. It's got a really tiny little blade leg, very thin top line, very thin sole. Barely there cavity, so there's not much in the way of perimeter weighting. It's as close to a blade as you can get. You say scary, I can see what you mean. It's very much aimed at the ballers amongst us, isn't it?
It's a ballers club. That if I saw a set of them hanging out of someone's bag, I'd be like, wow, you can either play or you think you can play.
Yeah. And yeah, I just think it's about as classy as an iron can look. The only thing that I think they could have done better, you know how I love
the paint fill?
Leaving paint fill out. If you'd have left that Mizuno Pro in just unfilled paint fill, I think that would be perfection. But as it is, I'll give it 98.5% out of 100.
Okay. Do you have the tech in your little workshop at home to like get that paint out?
Yeah. Just a bit of acetone and a toothbrush would get that out.
Bit of acetone and a toothbrush.
It's just all of a sudden when you've done it yourself, it doesn't feel. It just feels like you've bodged something or homemade.
Beautiful new club, and you go in your garage.
It's like when you paint a room yourself. It could be the same job as a professional painter's done, but you would notice all the little bits that you've maybe missed or could have done better. Whereas if someone else had done it, you just assume it's perfect, never look at it. It's that kind of vibe that would give me.
Great analogy.
Thank you. I'm full of those.
I enjoyed that one a lot.
Technology-wise, so it's nothing internal because this is
look at it
beautifully.
Where could you put it?
Exactly. This is grain flow forged HD process, which is their very impressive high-tech way of creating some of the most deep and it's a sensual experience hitting this iron, quite honestly. So it's forged from 1025E pure select mild carbon steel. Even under the top layer here, we've got copper underlay, so a little thin layer of copper, which is one of the softer metals. So to improve that, just that impact sensation even further, we've got this tiny little cavity, which is, cavity would be...
If the dentist saw that, they'd say just keep brushing through
filling
it. Filling that, are they?
That's a very good point. And what they've added is this triple cut sole. Have a look at the sole on that, Dan.
Oh, it's because we had the Strixons 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And that had that sort of, what do they call it? I forget what they call it.
Tor VT sole. So that's got a kind of a mound in the middle, the Tor VT sole, hasn't it? It's a bit of a V shape.
Whereas this is a bit different. And describe, I'll bring some pictures up now for those watching on YouTube, but describe it for those listening.
So it's a very thin overall sole, but at the front edge, they've got some beveling. So they call it beveling, where they just take away that. It's kind of a pre-worn leading edge.
Yes.
So it takes away the sharpness, helps the smoothness get through the turf. And they call it their hard cut trailing edge at the back. So the front bit always helps with the entrance to the turf. The back part helps with the exit, getting you back out. It kind of acts like a rudder to get it through. And that in itself just looks beautiful, doesn't it? It sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? Like
I'm just staring at this thing.
The shaving of a certain part of the sole and the topography of that shouldn't be a thing, but it's just so beautifully done and so uniform. And it just looks great. And in this lights, and it's kind of like a brushed satiny finish. There's no high gloss chrome.
Chrome does generally cheapen things, doesn't it? I think we're in a chrome.
It's interesting. It's fashions though, isn't it? Like back in the day, high chrome blades were where it was at.
Just not in at the minute, are they?
Not in at the minute, but these things all are cyclical. But I mean, good Lord, have you ever seen a better looking iron than that?
I was going to bring, okay, there have been some images up, but if you're looking at it now, if you're watching, pause and spend a moment and just enjoy it.
One thing I do
in person, they're always even better, by the way. So go check it out if you can.
Yeah, one thing I do love about this from the playing point of view, I've probably said it before on here a few times. For some reason, and I can't articulate it that well, Mizuno have never really been my bag in the playing position. A little bit angular. There's some areas of hosel transition that I don't love in most Mizuno irons. I can appreciate the craftsmanship and the beauty from the kind of the shop floor or the in the bag position far more. But whenever I've put Mizuno irons down before, there's a very distinct shaping and look that I've never been a massive fan of. So I've never really been a Mizuno iron player. But it's been addressed here. They've used a lot straighter lines than they ordinarily used. There's a lot more uniformity to it.
It's just, it's at a stage, it's so good looking, you can just sort of make noises.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I'd love to hear the comments and see if people think they've seen anything better, but it's understated, it's classy, it's like a matte brushed finish. I wouldn't want to hit them. Honestly, it looks like they look like an office piece, don't they?
Yeah, well, what is it like to hit?
Well, it's everything you'd expect. It's super soft, they're pretty conservatively lofted. So again, this is for your players who don't need assistance with a bit of a loft jacking boost. This 7-iron's 34 degrees, which is a very sort of traditional 7-iron loft. Brilliant through the turf. I mean, it's like a knife. Look how thin it is compared to something like,
we've taken all the irons away. What's this one?
Well, that's a Dynapwr. We're going to get to that later, aren't we?
That's not. Put that up against that.
We've done a recent review on the G440. I mean, it's probably double the sole width, isn't it? The G440 for this.
Let's go get it. Is that deep?
Go on, go and get it. But yeah, so brilliant through the turf, just simply, and it just goes through the turf. And I do a lot of my practice at Saunton Golf Club in North Devon, and it's got really tight, linksy turf. And then just do it for your benefit because maybe we flash it up.
I can flash this up. Yeah, at least double.
It's not far off, is it?
It's almost like they're different tools for different things. But I guess.
But what I love about this is not only is it because it's so thin and sort of movable through the turf, it cuts through that firm links turf really, really well. But the work they've done on the sole, I think, actually makes it very playable in all sorts of conditions. Just that little bit of extra bounce there. Oh, it's just an absolute joy. Really consistent. Feels great. The depth of strike's phenomenal. Feels as good as anything I've hit. Miura included. It's just a masterpiece of that iron. Are you going to get any help with anything? No. Are you going to get any distance boost from tech? No. Is it extremely workable? Yes, because of the very short blade length, which we've spoken about before. Remember my wonderful analogy about you moving your Mini.
Me crashing my car.
Versus moving the Titanic. The shorter the blade length, generally the easier that is to shift around and produce the shots you want. It's a shot shaper's dream. It's a purist's dream. It's a ball striker's dream. I don't really know what else to say about it. If you saw someone turning up, like you said, with these and you're playing against them, just be fearful. There's chances are they can absolutely rip it. We used to have, when I used to play like scratch matches at my club when we were growing up, people used to say, beware the man with the Ram Zebra putter, for he will have no more than 18 putts. Or beware the man with the Ping Eye 2 1-iron, for he has the capability to hit it 300 yards. Like, this could be one of those. If someone rocks up with these, you are getting a drubbing, mate. It should actually come probably in a set with a cashmere sweater to drape over your shoulders and a set
jacket.
Smoking jacket and some spiked FootJoy classics or something like that. This is what we're dealing with here.
I'm sure Adam Scott tested these, whether in his bag or not.
Yes,
when these first emerged on Instagram, quite a while ago now, actually, people were in the comments going wild for it. I'm sure it was Adam Scott. But anyway.
I'm not quite sure where they're sitting yet. I need to speak to Mizuno about that because was the old JPX tour that Koepka played for a number of years. I've not seen that recently, so I'm wondering whether this is going to be a direct replacement for that.
Yeah,
I'm interested to see.
It's almost like, when let's do car manufacturers just make a, not limited, because this isn't limited anyway in release, but like a bring a concept car to life, and they just show it's small production. It's not aimed at a massive market. They just show what they are capable of doing. It could be a sports car.
It's got that feel, yeah.
It's like, hey, we're Mizuno. Purists love us. We're purists. We love golf.
This is the best of us.
We're Japanese craftsmen using the finest materials. This is the best of us.
Yeah. I don't think I could put it any better than that, Dan.
There we go.
Beautifully put.
The Mizuno S3 is. I always bring my slack off, don't I?
You're a popular man, aren't you?
Yeah. Yes. Well done, Mizuno.
Not a budget offering.
Go on.
£215 per iron. So you'd be looking at 1,500 quid base level for a 7-piece set.
For me just to go on crap at golf. Because if I missed a little bit of that.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave that there if you don't mind.
Please do. Maybe turn it the other way around so it's not as volatile. It could tip in that scenario. Or are you happy with that?
I just want people to be able to look at it while they're listening to you.
Oh, you want it on show?
Do you know what I mean?
Cool.
Next up, please.
JPX925 Forged. Wasn't that bothered when I saw these?
Yeah.
Just like, here we go.
Yeah, because we had 925, the hot metal family, and you're like, another one.
There just seems to be loads in the range, as a lot of these manufacturers at the moment. You've got like the 3 Pro models, got the 241s, the 243s, the 245s, then you go into 3 hot metals, hot metal Pro, hot metal HL, hot metal.
Hot metal, hottest metal.
Then you've got
the return.
warm metal, tepid metal. Then you've got the Pro S3 over there, and it feels like there's more to come as well. And then you get, so I was a bit, here we go again. We're just going to have a nice feeling. Nice feeling, sort of mid-cavity. Well, honestly, I wasn't that fussed when it first came through. Then I was taken aback, Dan.
Have a look.
Good Lord. Tech-wise, contour ellipse face, which basically...
Contour on again?
You heard. Contour ellipse face, which is basically a multi-thickness face profile to produce optimal ball speeds across the face. It combines the forgiveness of that hot metal series... which is very forgiving, with the feel of single-piece forged irons. My problem with that, what's the point of the hot metal now?
Yes.
If you're getting the forgiveness and the
cannibalisation.
performance...
I feel like brands...
I've literally written the word cannibalising, Dan.
I don't believe... Oh, my Christ. I don't believe it.
If you've got what they're saying, they've literally put that in the press release. Like,
so why would you want any of the other JPXs then?
I don't know. It's
maybe
like
the
saying,
high
well, you can have the same
one.
performance, but it will feel worse.
And look a bit fatter or something.
Maybe it's a price point. Maybe I need to look into that more. But as soon as I read that, I was thinking, well, if you can get all the performance and forgiveness, but in this beautiful soft feel, who's going to go, I'd like it to feel a bit clunkier if possible. Like, I don't.
Can you get a clickier version?
Not that actually the hot metal feel clunky or clicky in any way, but this is another level of feel. This is exceptional. So the longer irons, 4 to 7, they're made with a chrome alloy 4120, which I have no idea what that means.
Great.
But it's a slightly different metal to the shorter irons, which are a very soft 1025E carbon steel like the Pro S3. I've never really been a big fan of splitting. Do you like that?
Why did you hit it like that?
I don't know.
So
just
aggressive.
felt good. Just felt good. I've never been a huge fan of splitting materials within the set. I'm just like, well, if I've got an iron set, I want you all to do the same thing and be the same and feel the same. But you just can't notice it at all. A difference in feel, which then makes me also think, well, why did you bother splitting the feel? Because it doesn't make much of a difference, or nothing that I've noticed really. Same little sole work they've done on the Pro S3 that we just spoke about.
Identical.
Beautifully done.
Yeah.
And makes it super, super versatile.
Sorry to stop you mid-flow again.
Go on.
Could you help me with where we are in the market here? What are we up against? Are we not sure?
Oh, in the market?
Yeah, just like, what's it up against? Where are we at? P770, 90?
I think it's somewhere between P770 and P790.
Fast
P780. It's somewhere in that range. It's probably a little bit bigger than the P770.
Between T2 and T1?
T150. There is a T150.
There is a T150.
Yeah, so I think it's probably around that. It's punchy. It's quite strong in loft, which we'll get to in a minute. It's a confusing iron. It's a little bit like that ZXi 5 that I spoke about from Srixon, whereby... And I mentioned this actually when we were talking about that, whereby the feel is not very conducive to what it produced in terms of results. It produces distance whopping.
Yeah, what you're feeling through the body isn't what's happening out on the course.
It's a real sort
of... But in a good way.
Yeah, in the best way possible. Looks wise, I think it's a great looking iron, but when you've just picked up that Pro S3,
I've got to take that out of my mind. I'm distracted by him. You know what? I'm distracted by him. I'm going to move him. No, I'm not. I've seen...
It's like you went out with Angelina Jolie at 18 and then...
Not Susan. Just a normal woman.
Let's not name normal women.
Just a normal woman.
What I'm saying is, once you've seen
This is a
something
normal
like
woman.
that, that's Angelina Jolie.
And this is a normal woman.
Yeah, and she's lovely, but she doesn't.
All
look
your
like that.
references to celebrities are from a long time ago. No one's thinking about Angelina Jolie anymore.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
So,
I've also seen a lot of very good-looking irons today. We've been recording a few episodes, and I've seen Shrixon and that Angelina over there.
go on, give me your thoughts.
Oh, sugar. That's fine. It's a pure fine from me. Just because I know that ZX5's over there, ZXi 5's over there, which I think will sit roughly in and around this.
I think it's classy. But maybe we've just been spoiled.
It's
There's
a bit
visible
busy.
tech.
It's a bit busy on the back. We've got a bit of shiny chrome, which I think you and I both don't love on the back of an iron.
Tell you what, though, it is excellent in behind the ball. It's a lovely head profile, nice size, bit more meat on the bone than, say, the Pro S3.
That is pleasant.
So it'll give you that little bit of extra assurance, but still very, very much looks like a classy sort of player's Mizuno iron.
It's a Mizuno. They're never going to get it wrong. My head's been turned in Love Island parlance.
You could, you've been to Casa. What's it
I'm
called?
going to pull the S3 for a chat later. I need to recouple.
So performance-wise, I've just written blew my socks off.
Oh.
So this is, you could copy and paste what I said about the Srixon ZXi 5 here, just exactly what I've just said. Like, when you put it down, I'm usually pretty adept at hitting a shot, feeling what I feel in my hands as a club tester and an iron tester in particular, and going, okay, this is what we're dealing with here. Mm-hmm. And then you look up and you see it doing something and see the launch monitor today, you go, wow, that's not what I felt. I felt a soft, gentle, lovely forged iron that should just be floating nicely. It's just drifted. It's just popped a 7-iron about 200 yards. It's beastly. I mean, it's 30 degrees loft in a 7-iron, which is pretty strong. But due to the sort of sheer velocity it comes off the face and the ball speed, it launches because it's quick. So if it was slow, it would just be sort of falling out of the sky. But what I'm trying to say here is the strong lofts are counteracted because it's so quick off the face. It's just zooming into the sky very, very quickly.
I should have asked this about the Shrixon as well, but I guess we can tackle them both now. Is that not sometimes a bit unnerving when you they're almost too powerful?
Yeah, it depends on who you are. I mean, I'd struggle. I just can't envisage a world where I need to hit a 200 plus yard 7-iron.
But you swing it. Like, this isn't for you though.
Correct.
Is it? It could be for me as a single figure handicap or even a 12.
I think something like this would be phenomenal for you. Just give you that little bit of extra pop. You wouldn't sacrifice the feel that and you'd get some wonderful feel and feedback. So I think for a certain type of person, this would be absolutely exceptional. But also I think it sort of crosses a broad spectrum. I think there'll be some really low handicappers who want to keep a classic looking iron, but again, just want that pop and that little bit of extra distance, but they're used to a certain feel and don't want to compromise that. Absolutely perfect. It's a really exceptional. While I prefer that, just because of the.
But this is a bit chalk and cheesy. We're not. We can't be comparing them.
Yeah, I've got nothing but admiration
for the
engineering.
If we hadn't spoken about Angelina, I probably would be talking about how good that looks. I think I'm slightly clouded, but it's another great offering in that space. I feel really bad if someone's ordered one of the JPX hot metals. I'd be a bit miffed. Because I'd be like, hold on a second.
I don't want to corroborate
Hold on a second.
Yeah, I do feel like you can. I mean,
why have they brought that out now, though, as well? Why didn't you bring it out with the family? I don't know how these things work. I'm just asking questions, Joe.
I don't, but there's a few legacy ranges like this had a couple of iterations beforehand that have been really popular. So I think they like to stick with things that have done well for them before. But yeah,
if you're a mid to, I don't know, 15 down, 12 down to 4, 5, so many great options in that space, particularly from Japanese brands by all accounts.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right. They're a little cheaper than the S3, £200 a club, which is still not.
You pay for Mizuno and their build quality. I've never heard a bad word about Mizuno.
It goes back to the conversation we had about Tacoma the other day. You can get a 4-to pitching wedge set of the CBs for about £499, but
they look great.
They do look great.
I don't know if they're forged with quite as much. Anyway, that's for a different day. Good work, Mizuno. There's been some great stuff. I'm in just a great mood about how good the stuff is. I don't like.
It's been an interesting launch season in the sense that there's nothing. Like last season for me, G430 Max 10K from Ping as a driver stole the show of everything in every category.
Because it's actually
it was a real big move and a real big leap, and that was if someone said to me, "What's the best thing you've seen?" It's pretty obvious. that came to mind. I haven't got that one standout product this season, but the volume and the quality across the board, really impressive.
It's tough because like the last thing I want to do on this podcast is really just like gas everything up, as in build everything up to being great, because that doesn't help people watching and listening.
I think we're doing a good job of being objective, though. We're saying there
because nothing comes out that's terrible. So
No.
we've just got to do a job of going, that is genuinely fantastic. And we're just sort of bigging up the things that are really good, and everything else is still good, but it's just not like standing out for us.
I think we do a reasonable job of pointing out what we don't like. Certain visuals that I haven't been a fan of, like the bottom of the ping stuff on the drivers, the Callaway Elite stuff. Again, that visual we're saying there that there's potentially a mistake in the range where that's maybe cannibalized and made some others obsolete. Said that about the TaylorMade driver. I feel the core model of the QI35 is
Gobbled up the
similar
LS.
reason gobbled up the LS, can produce similar numbers, but with much more playability. So I think we're doing a good job of remaining relatively balanced in our
not
in our
trying to get too
viewpoints.
excited about everything. But listen, there's some really good stuff out there, so that's obviously a good thing for everybody. Wilson is our last bit of tested this week before we move on to Ask the Pod. We've just got... Are you giving Ask the Pod again?
I'm not. I've just looked at my notes on Wilson. Read the first 3 lines I've written there.
Went up to Turnberry. Paul Lawrie was there. Lovely. Lovely was on a separate line.
Why have I made a new line for lovely?
Even Paul Lawrie was there and he was lovely.
I don't know what I
teaching you
meant by
grammar
that.
again.
Yeah.
Well, you've just told the story now. You went to Turnberry and Paul Lawrie was lovely.
Went up to Trump Turnberry for the Wilson release earlier this year. Played Trump Turnberry. Lovely.
That's where we could have brought Johnny the producer on just then.
Yes.
Fantastic golf. I can't do it.
Can we re-record a separate bit? Yes. This would be really good if we could get Johnny's impression in there. Put a pin in that.
Yeah.
Possible.
Not happening.
Okay. So Wilson took us up there. Released the new product. Paul Lawrie was there. Lovely. Gave a little demo, did a little talk on why he loves Wilson, showed us him hitting the new drivers, etc., etc.
Sorry, yeah.
What's that funny?
He's being paid.
Okay, yeah, he was being paid. Good point.
Out of the goodness of his heart.
Yeah, no, very good point.
Although they've had quite a long relationship, so
He has had a long-standing relationship and won the Open using Wilson products.
that's a long time ago.
That was a long time ago. 1999. Very good, Dad. So the range as a whole, so they're releasing 3 new drivers. So they've got the Dynapwr Carbon, we've got the Dynapwr LS, and the Dynapwr Max.
Same name.
What?
It's the same name.
As what?
Last time.
Yes. But it's a very different product.
But people aren't going to know that.
Okay, so you got a problem with that, have you?
So we've got to tell people that obviously that's our job. But I'm like, if you're a punter who doesn't follow golf equipment that much and you saw Dynapwr
You
come
mentioned this when I came back. Yeah, actually, not even Dynapwr 2.0.
just something to differentiate, because if you're shopping in the second-hand market or you Google Wilson Dynapwr, what's going to rock up is the old
everything.
one as well. Anyway, I think that's a massive error.
Okay, well, they put a lot more work into drive than they have done before, and I would say this is the best drive they've made since the Invex, where John Daly won the Open with the Invex in
The
1995.
Invex is a fun name.
I'd look up the Invex; it'll be one for you.
I'm going to do it now while you're chatting away.
So the Carbon is basically the sort of mid-range one. It's a strong all-round, and it's actually what I was fit into when I was up there. The LS, that's been designed basically, obviously for a low-spin product, but it's been designed for the better player, and they've done everything they can within that product to eliminate the left-hand side of the course. And we see that a lot with Triple Diamond, LS,
Popular trend
whatever.
this year.
So better players seem to want to eliminate that left shot for a right-hander, and it really does. I barely could keep it on the range when I was trying to hit it. I'm a cutter of the ball anyway, and it's pretty heavily fade bias. So if you're a quick player who really hates that left shot, take a look at that LS. It's got real genuine fade bias, not subtle. It's pretty pokey in that regard for me. The Max, that's an all titanium product, and it's brilliantly forgiving. It looks a lot better than previous Dynapwr stuff to me. You've got a couple of gripes with it, haven't you? But I would get to that in a second. I think it absolutely now, for the first time, genuinely, it stands up to the competition in terms of ball speed and many other parameters on the launch monitor. I'm not someone who generally gets massive amounts of efficiency. I've never really worked out why. You know, you're doing your smash factor number.
What do you get up
ball
to?
speed divided by club head speed. I'm pretty consistently around that 1.46 number.
Not bad.
well, it's not bad, but I see plenty of my counterparts just
You're better than that,
149,
and you know
150
you
all
are.
the time, and I'm never really sure why. I was consistently the carbon which I was fitted into, I was consistently at 1.50, which I'm very, very rarely am. So I was really impressed with the efficiency and the ball speed coming out of that. I just think they look a lot more premium than they ever have done. I know you've got some observations, but I still think it's a real step forward. I think this is a genuinely high-end looking product from Wilson now, which I don't think I've always been able to say.
I would agree with that. I think like even just holding it now, being a part of it,
Go on.
it's strong. No, it's a strong look for Wilson, I think. I've always said this about Wilson. I'll stand by this until they change it. That's their logo. That's fine. Reminds me of tennis. I used to play a Wilson tennis racket. I played a lot of tennis.
Is it the connotations?
I've got bad connotations with that logo. Not bad, but like non-golfy. What I do love is the Wilson Staff Shield, which I know they've brought a lot more into their premium irons.
Oh, on the Staff Model CB and the Staff Model Blades looks phenomenal. And I wish.
And not only have they've taken the WS out of the Shield, which reminded me of like their low-end golf balls, their Duo Softs.
Yeah.
So they got rid of that. I was like, brilliant. They're going to start seeing that more into their high-end product, which this is. For me, that logo just if you got rid of that, put the Shield on there in a bit bigger, that would have just tied it all together for me.
Okay.
That's my only issue with it. But I totally agree with you that this carbon in particular I've got in my hand here looks right up there with the competition this year. Would love to have seen. Anyway, face, that looks like a GT.
Yeah,
a lot
so
of
that's a face we've seen a lot of
this year.
A lot
Cobra
of
will look like that as well.
Cobra, Titleist GT, Wilson.
Shaping, the etching, very similar.
So I think a lot of people have sort of, again, gone down that route of visible loft. So if you can see more loft by making the face contrast a little bit more, gives people a little bit more confidence at address, which when we're talking about driver, confidence is pretty much everything. But
can I just talk about from the address position of the
LS?
Yes, versus the
reason I haven't
Max.
got the carbon with me actually is because the one I've fitted for hasn't arrived yet. So I've only got the LS and the Max with me.
So you've got that sort of gloss black on the Max without the carbony finish because it's titanium. But
Correct.
you haven't got that, where the carbon connects to the rest.
The banner strip.
That's the word I'm after. You lose the banner strip. I'd say the Max doesn't look quite as premium behind the ball. I think that carbon really lifts that.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. And I'd be interested to know why. Maybe it's a price point thing, which I'll come to shortly. But yeah, I was impressed. I'm not sure they've done enough yet to make me think I'm definitely going to play that. But it's something that I would certainly put in the equation to test now. Whereas before I would just gloss over it and go, well, that's nice. You've done a driver, Wilson. Not for me. It sounds patronising, but
that's where they sit. And it was the same with Strixon a couple of episodes ago, where I think you said they've now bumped themselves not only as like, oh yeah, it's good, but it's a couple mile an hour, a couple yards shorter than the big 4.5. But it's there. Would you say this is now the same? It's like you've always been just below, but now they've put that extra
made
effort,
a genuine
time,
push. Yeah, they've spent some money, made a genuine push, and I think. Interesting what you say about the branding. They are becoming more sort of brand or image conscious, I think. So a lot of the presentation that I sat through was around how they're trying to sort of pull on the heritage strings of Wilson and the kind of retro feel of the clothing and, your rope hats and things like that. And they've actually brought in some a lot of a younger market. They've tried to back some influencers. So they've got, who's the guy who pauses at the top? The Pause King.
That might be his actual name.
Yeah.
I know the bloke you're on about.
He's got an actual name. He's
got an actual name, yeah, most
Lewis
people do.
Sparrow, who's a beautiful swinger of a golf club, works at Precision Golf, actually.
Is he?
He's big on Instagram, swings it great. They're just kind of pushing that sort of young, preppy, college feel.
He is just the Pause King.
There you go. And then
Ben Krupa.
Ben Krupa, that's his name.
There we go. Sorry, mate.
Sorry,
you have got a name.
You're welcome. But yeah, they sort of, again, they've done a lot of research into that period of time when when the pandemic was kicking off and a younger audience sort of gravitated towards golf, and people started wearing fashion changed a little bit during that period of time, and they're trying to get involved in that and get that whole ethos and feel going within their sort of apparel line and stuff like that. And also, I think they're becoming a bit more brand and image conscious within the looks of their products, which I think is great.
Yeah. I want to see more from them. I really want to see more from them because they've got so much heritage to lean on. Yeah. They're always like, they've won so many majors. There've been so many great players' bags across the years and people are into retro. 90s is very in at the minute, I guess. That era's in. That's when Wilson were the best. That is retro. I'm sorry, mate.
Wow.
It's 2025 now, Mush. I'm sorry. And that's their era, so they should really lean on that. I just want to see a little bit more. I like it. I'm getting it.
I think,
they're pushing
I
towards.
agree.
This is looks only because I've not hit these yet, and they perform really well by all accounts.
We've got fairway range as well. So we've got the Dynapwr Carbon. We've got the Max. Spoke to Sam about these as per usual. Our fairway man.
Fairway
I don't test the
correspondent.
fairways, as Dan often says. So we're going to go top line here. Really enjoyed the carbon sound. Still not as thuddy as kind of a Callaway or TaylorMade style carbon. Falls somewhere between that and like a titanium-y sound like the Strixon product. Both sit really nice and flat to the ground for confidence. He felt really confident in getting these plenty of airborne. Colourway and other things about it gave him kind of TaylorMade Stealth 2 vibes, which I can kind of see. The Max was just a slightly louder version. Lacked a little power of some of others' competitors he felt in the Max, but really easy to use. And yeah, was generically overall a fan.
Generically? Do you mean generally?
Yes, that's exactly what I mean.
It's like when people say Pacific instead of specific, or generally instead of genuinely. It really annoys me.
What specifically do you mean by that?
I don't mind it. If you want more detail on those fairways and hybrids, the links to Sam's written reviews are down in the description on YouTube or on your podcast platform of choice. Again, if you're joining us for the first time, we gloss over these because we haven't hit them. Joe hasn't hit them. We don't want to spend time and effort talking about something we can't really stand behind. So go and read that if you want.
Missed out the hybrid actually, which Sam mentioned.
Oh,
So
it's, sorry, my bad.
No, just to the fairways, but there's one hybrid. It's decent. I actually quite like the hybrid. Never been a huge hybrid fan. Did a lot of hitting with the hybrid up on the range at Turnberry myself. So I have actually hit this. Sam's have done obviously more in-depth testing. Bonded hosels. There's no adjustability, so you need to get your loft dialed in to know exactly what you want in terms of a yardage fill in there. Nice shiny gloss ground and just really easy to hit. High launching, super easy to hit. One of the most user-friendly hybrids I've hit in a long time, I think. I found that really good. It's not going to be don't think it'd be a one for the better players, really. They've got a really nice utility iron, which I think will generally fill that gap for their tall staff.
That
and lower
RB,
handicap
that was quite good,
players.
wasn't it? The RB utility.
Yeah, and then onto the irons. So
Yes.
we've got the Dynapwr and the Dynapwr Max.
Can I preface with this conversation?
Go on.
Oh, okay. Love the shield on the back.
Yeah.
There we go. Now we're talking.
Yeah.
They could have carved Wilson into that. They didn't need to. There's a nice shield. Okay.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Otherwise, though, Joe,
From a shelf appeal
you're
point,
about to say some words.
yeah, from a shelf appeal point of view, I think it look really good. I like the finish. Not too. There's a bit of gloss on there, which I don't love, but it's used sparingly, and the rest of it is generally a nice sort of brushed steel finish. Filled cavity with a sort of. It looks a bit plasticky, the badge to me.
The badge, and that may not come through. It's got a shine to it that makes it look more plasticky than it is.
Yeah, I wasn't. I think I feel harsh here, but I think there is certainly some better game improvement irons out there. When I hit these, I found them quite clicky and firm. If you're someone who prefers that kind of robust, industrial, firmer feel in an iron, and there are those people out there, there's walking amongst us actually. But
Seek help.
Seek help, but this will provide you with that slightly firmer feel if you're not someone who's into that sort of buttery sensation. I found them a little bit harsh. And just from a playing point of view, I know I'm not the category they're aimed at.
Kind of look down the ball. I played D7s back in the day. Brought me down from 18 to 12 very quickly. So I've got a soft spot for these kind of irons.
Endorsement. I just wasn't sure about the shapings. I think they lacked a little bit of symmetry for me. And again, it's tough to put your finger on, but I went through, obviously, iron by iron. I just felt there was some better profiles in the game improvement department for me. But they do. I mean, they produce some great distance. They're hot.
I've got no doubt these things will do the job they're meant to do, but it's such a strong year for game improvement irons that this is really going to struggle unless the price point can help that.
And again, maybe I haven't done my job particularly well here, but I haven't received much information because we were recording this quite a fair bit ahead of their embargo.
Well,
so I don't have all their final RRPs, but it'd be good to flash them up. Yeah.
The RRPs will be flashed up now, so we get that spot on. We can't comment on them yet as we don't know
and
it.
if they are
cheaper,
a decent chunk cheaper, they'll do a really good job.
A while ago now, but D7 was 2019. I remember they were, and that's why people fell into them, and they performed really well. So it was like a win-win for people. You get fit for a good quality club that's going to do its job, but you don't pay the tailor-made Callaway prices.
Yeah,
so we'll have to
100%.
Yeah, not tough that. We've had some great clubs over the past few weeks. And to my point earlier, sometimes you're a bit flat about a couple of things, and that's fine, and that's okay to be like that because there's a lot of good stuff out there.
It is, and that's not bad product at all. It just, like I said, it just doesn't quite do it for me from a looks point of view and feels a little bit harsher than some, but will certainly hit a price point potentially for a lot of people. And there's a lot of Mizuno loyalists. I know quite a few love the Mizuno product, and I think it will still do well. I'd love to see a little bit more work gone into the shaping and soften up that feel just a touch. Would be my only. My only take on that. Tough
market this year for the old game improvement. We might be talking nonsense though, so let us know what you think about the looks.
Subjective. I'm not the authority on this. I'm just giving my opinion.
So we want to hear from you. You can comment down on YouTube if you're watching us over there. You can email us kickpointpodcast@futurenet.com with any comments, things you want to hear us talk about, things you can do better, things you can do worse, things you want to hear us say, stuff like that. Questions as well for Ask the Pod, Joe, which is coming up next.
What we'll do next, is it? Is that before Ludvig?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Ludvig's coming up, by the way. Joe's little chat with him. So, there's jingle time, Joe. And if you haven't joined us before, here we go. It's time for our favourite part of the show. It's Ask the Pod. No, you're clicking out of time.
Okay. Ask the Pod. Ask the Pod. Ask the Pod.
Ask the Pod. He's gone early.
He went early. I liked it though. We'll see how that comes out. Why not?
Clap him in, everybody. That was superb. And
I'd like to take over from there because I'm fielding this question and Dan hasn't seen this one because somehow this came to my direct email rather than the Kickpoint one. I don't know how, but I think someone's probably clicked on one of the end of my reviews and you can press the email button and it's just come to me instead of Kickpoint.
It's fine, whatever.
So we've got a question.
But it's for me. It
is for you, and I love this question, and I like that you've not heard it because I think it's funny. It's from Wendy from Royal Wootton Bassett.
Where's that?
Royal Wootton Bassett?
Yeah.
It's like middle of the country, like Wiltshire way, I think.
Royal Wootton
Bassett.
Someone's not from the UK listens to that. They'll be like,
"You've very English sounding name."
It's like those. Yeah. It's like those village names that sound like
Rubbellington.
They sound like rude words as well.
Yeah. Right. So Wendy says, my husband Steve is a golf nut and he absolutely loves the podcast. Despite not understanding any of the podcast, it's always on in the background and I've grown very fond of you and your funny little relationship with each other. It's nice, isn't it?
So they're both listening and they've got no idea what's going on.
Gets better.
Go on.
Despite Joe being my secret crush, my question is actually for young Daniel on the apparel side of things. Now, my question is, she's funny, Wendy.
Yeah,
I like
Wendy. Let's get Wendy on the pod.
Wendy, you can come on. You can definitely
come on, Wendy.
My question is, this gets better. I'm fed up of him leaving to play golf dressed like one of the cast of Last of the Summer Wine. Which, for those of you watching in America...
You can't... What's that reference?
Do you not know that?
No.
Last of the Summer Wine is a programme on BBC years ago with a load of old boys that ran riot around this village.
Royal Wootton Bassett.
Like Royal Wootton Bassett. They got into japes and scrapes and whatever. And there was one called Compo, who was a bit scruffy, who was like all moth-bitten. They were just badly dressed old men.
She's basically saying her husband's a badly dressed old man.
It's a great reference. I love it, Wendy. Now, Wendy says, I'm prepared to cough up and buy him a full new wardrobe. But my question,
she is fed up.
She is fed up, isn't she? But my question is around how to structure this wardrobe for him. He plays both days on the weekends. Yeah. Lucky man, Steve. And generally once a week.
They get on well, don't they?
Once a week during the spring and summer.
Okay.
So she wants to know the logistics here. How many polo shirts, vests, sweaters, trousers, and shorts is a good volume to offer a reasonable rotation in your opinion?
Yeah.
Thanks for what you do and keep up the good work, Bulge and Roll. She's even got original references.
They got no idea what's going on.
Go on, Wendy.
By all accounts. Okay.
Feel free to email me again, Wendy.
That was superb. No wonder she went to the private one. She fancies you. Yeah,
a woman of taste.
Right then, structure. This is good because I'm not going to lean on brands here, Wendy. You can go and do what you want here. What I would do, I'm very lucky I get sent a lot of stuff, but what I would do and what I would say to my friends is go Go as neutral as possible. You can get quite a lot out of a few things, Joe.
Oh, hang on. I think you're going wrong here already. I don't think she's asking you what to buy in terms of like your style. Oh, I suppose she is.
I'm talking. Let me. How about you let me finish?
Sorry.
I listen to you.
Sorry, Wendy.
You listen to me.
Okay.
Okay. How about that, Joe?
Fine.
2 of these. 1 of these.
God, yeah.
I'll point you to my ears and then my mouth if you're listening. He got it. Johnny got it. Johnny got it in the end. Okay, so to start, the absolute key is 2 pairs of trousers, 1 black and 1 navy, because then you can pair them off with whatever the heck you want.
Not
right?
a beige or a khaki, no?
Not into that.
Okay.
Not into that. Again, we're trying to go slightly trendier here. Saying
Okay.
that khaki isn't not trendy. Just keep it easy for now. You can branch out after that. Okay,
and navy.
so 2 pairs of trousers, 1 black, 1 navy. Polos. Because we've got 2 pairs, I'm going to go 4. They're not, but I'm going non-budget here. If she lives
Wendy's
in
made of money.
Royal Wootton
That
Bassett,
is
I'm
quite an
sure she's
affluent
doing all right
area.
for herself. Listen, unless they're homeless, but how you'd be listening to us. 4. So
To 6 garments.
2 or 3 that are plain.
Yeah.
And again, then pair them off. So if you've got a grey is perfect because you can wear grey
with
with black
both.
or with blue.
And white, surely?
Grey, white, very good. And then let's have one that just goes with like a black one or something.
Okay.
So 3 plainish ones there. And then go for 1 or 2, depending on your budget, over in Royal Wootton Bassett. Patterned, get some geometric shapes maybe, flowery. I think Steve, I don't know what you look like,
feeling
Steve.
a bit fruity.
When on one of his spring afternoons, he's feeling like, I'm going to go and impress the boys today.
Yeah, okay.
So there's your polo section. 2 quarter zips. I like a quarter zip. And if he's an older man, presuming he is, I think that's just nice and clean. Let's not go too wild.
So you going quarter zips in place of like a V-neck or a crew neck sweater?
I've got 1 crew neck coming up.
Okay, cool.
So I love a crew neck, and I think they can be worn on or off the course as well, which is handy. So 2 quarter zips, colour, again, think about your trousers. Just always base it all off the trousers. That's how I start an outfit.
What do they call this? Like a capsule wardrobe?
Yeah, capsule's a great word. Always start on the trousers. So find 2 quarter zips and a crew neck that, again, give you breadth then. If you go for a blue or a navy crew neck or quarter zip, you can't wear them with your black trousers, which really F's me off. So spread the colour out as much as you can. A waterproof jacket for his winter weekends, he sounds like he plays, and just go black with that because you're going to wear black trousers and you're just going to try and keep...
And you're going to wear them in the muck, aren't
Exactly, so they're going to get filthy. Shoes, really important. I don't know if you reference shoes,
you?
Wendy.
Finish on garments now.
You're done on garments. That's all you need. How many was that? 10?
10.
That's all you need.
Shorts?
I say all you need. It's quite a lot, but
No shorts?
do the same with trousers then.
Okay.
So get 2 pairs of shorts, 1 black, 1 navy.
Okay, so you've got a nice capsule wardrobe there, just a dozen pieces.
And
like
then,
that.
so that's like your structure of it, and just keep those colours in mind and try to get as much stuff that can cross over. So, a grey polo, as we said, can be worn with black or with blue. Isn't that nice for when one's in the wash?
Right, Scooby-Doos.
Shoes, then, because this feels like it's part of it, maybe make him get these, because you've already spent a lot of money by the sound of it, Wendy. White, 1 white pair, 1 grey pair, 1 of them spiked, 1 of them spikeless. Simple. Again, the grey can go with the blue or the black. Never get black shoes. They look terrible.
I'm not a black shoe guy at all.
can't
It's only
wear
Tiger
them.
Woods that's ever pulled them off, isn't
Can't
it?
wear a black shoe. I just look down on myself and go, the hell's that? Especially when you're like white socks or something. You look ridiculous. So yeah, and I don't care whether you go spiked or spikeless in the grey or the black, the white. I'd say go spiked in the grey because you'll probably wear them more in the winter.
Yeah.
And grey washes off better than white. There's your structure.
Wendy, I hope that's really answered that question for you.
Thank you for getting in touch. That was wonderful.
Yeah, enjoyed that a lot, Wendy.
And that applies to
Obviously.
everybody, by the way. I think I've not included age in that. That's every male human golfer. Every male. I don't know why.
And also
not
some of them
humanity brings into-
subhumans.
Yeah. Some are. And then you can pick whatever styles you want that think you'll suit your other half
Correct.
better.
And that should stop you looking like one of the last of the summer wines. And you need to look that up
I'm
later.
going to do it now.
No,
I'll
don't do it
I
now.
can't do it now. If you
We'll
watch
do it during Ludwig.
Yeah, do it. Who's coming? What a great segue.
Thank you.
So we interviewed Ludvig Aberg on the 22nd of October, to be precise. So quite a while ago now. This was while he was recovering from his knee surgery. Our friends over at Adidas, thank you for putting us in touch with him, giving us the time to chat with him. You did a bit of spiel at the start for a piece that's gone in the magazine, this month's magazine, if you want to read Golf Monthly. And then we did our What's in the Bag, as per normal.
You all right, mate?
What was that?
You're right.
What was that?
Wendy's got to, isn't she?
Wendy's just appeared, so she's not dead. Did he have his clubs on him?
He didn't to start with, and then he did. And then he did half. What you see? You'll see it actually in the clip. I think.
Does someone just bring them in?
Yeah, just some guy just shuffles in with his bag, and which they were obviously worked really hard to find his bag and get it there, and then we didn't pull any clubs out of it, so it just ended up as an accessory. But
it's still a what's in the bag interview. Still right?
a what's in the bag.
Into the wrong thing.
Good chat. No, he's got some good chat. I like Ludvig. Really,
we've both interviewed him now.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm sure you like me better. Much like Wendy. But yeah, interesting. Let's see what Ludvig's got to say.
Ludvig sat quite chill and back in the camera. Joe is so in your face.
Bit more in his face. Get in there.
Well worth a watch. So head over to YouTube if you aren't already. And here's Ludvig.
Welcome to the What's in the Bag section of the Kickpoint podcast. And today I'm joined by a very special guest. I've got Ludvig Aberg with me. Hi, Ludvig.
Hello. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Yeah, very well. Good. So just before we get started, I always like to get a little bit of a flavour of the player that I'm talking to and how they view their equipment. Like, are you kind of a gearhead who wants to know every little detail about swing weight, lie angles, etc., or are you someone who leaves that to the tour team? Where do you stand on these things?
Yeah, I think it's important to kind of have an idea of what's good for you and whatnot, but if you ask me what my weights and my driver is, I couldn't tell you. But I know the shaft, and I know I've never been a big guy in tinkering too much. I've never been changing too much. I like to stick with the same thing and not change too much unless it gives me a better performance or an improvement in the results.
So on that then, based on the fact, I know obviously we're injured now and you're doing a bit of rehab and it's technically golf's off season. Ordinarily in an off season, when you say you stick on things, would you try some different equipment in the off season or throughout the season? Do people, and how does that come about? Do the guys at Titleist suggest stuff to you, different products, or do you looking around in other people's bags and thinking, let's see what that's all about? How does that work for you trying new?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, last year I didn't really have an off season, so I didn't really have the same amount of time off that I have this year, and I'm tinkering a little bit with some things, but I think it would almost be foolish not to take advantage of that and see if there is something that performs better without changing, anything in your own methods and approaches. But I think when I was in college, maybe it was a little bit more changing going on. But I mean, ultimately, I always like to think that you want to be able to control yourself first, and then you have the equipment to help you, and not vice versa. I don't want my swing to be sort of leaning on a special setting on my driver or anything like that. I want, the fundamentals to be there first, and then if there's a setting that would help me, I think that's when I pull that in. But yeah, I think you're definitely trying to take advantage of the time off to see if there is anything that's better. But I might as well, put it back in the closet and not use it.
I think that attitude of getting yourself right first, rather than searching for the fixes in equipment, could help a lot of my friends that are searching for a lot of fixes in their gear. But okay, just before we get into the clubs, I just want to start with your apparel and your shoes. So you're an Adidas athlete. Now, I'm a big fan of Adidas as a brand. They've got a really progressive attitude to fashion in golf, particularly. Have you found that association?
Yeah, it's been great. It started my last year in college, and I was fortunate enough to wear the stuff, and I love it. I love the mix between very athletic, but also very casual with the whole Originals line, and it's something that I want to be able to have. I want it to be aligned with who I am and what I stand for, and Adidas definitely is that. And I couldn't be happier with the partnership.
Cool. And in terms of your footwear, so I believe you're now testing or in the new Adizero ZG, and I've heard some pretty impressive stuff around this shoe regarding how light it is, how stable it is, and just how much traction it produces. Can you talk to me a bit about how you found that shoe?
Yeah, definitely. It's quite interesting. I mean, this whole past year and a half, I guess, since I turned pro, I've been in the ZGs, which has been great. But this one, the Adizero, is a little bit lighter, like you mentioned. It's also a little bit, what I feel like is closer to the ground. So it actually reminds me a little bit more of the spikeless shoe that I wore in college. And I think that's helping me when I'm on the greens, because I like to read the greens with my feet, doing the aim point system. And I think this is definitely going to help me with that. And yeah, it's a little bit more control. I think it feels like because you are close to the ground, you have a little bit more of that stability. But it is still important that they're comfortable walking in, which is obviously because we walk so much, which they really are.
It's interesting that it's almost performance enhancing to an extent. My podcast co-host Dan will be listening to this. He looks after shoes for us, and to hear that, the sole being a little bit closer to the ground is actually helping you with aim point. That's a really interesting point to talk about. So.
Yeah, I think so. Because obviously, you can feel a little bit more of the smaller nuances in the grains, and it's definitely been good for me, and I'm looking forward to wearing it.
Cool. Right, let's get stuck into the bag then. So let's start at the top. Now, I'm just going to base it on stuff that, you said you've been tinkering around, so correct me where I'm wrong going forward here, but you've been in the TSR2 in 9 degree. Are we still in TSR2 or are we tinkering?
Yeah, so I'm still in the TSR2. We actually just got the bag in here right now.
There we go.
That was good timing. So yeah, I'm still in the TSR2. I think preferably I'd be in the GT come next year at some point. But I'm not stressing it. I feel like once again, it needs to perform better for me to make a switch. I feel very comfortable with the TSR2, and I've been using it for a while. I like that more spinny head. Never been a 3 guy with a low spin head. Can't seem to get it off the ground. So this is the one that I really like.
Okay, so we've got that in the D4 setting, so standard lie, just slightly more loft. Ventus Black 6X. And I heard you say something interesting about when you're testing drivers, you're almost more interested in the mishits than the center track, right? Because everything performs pretty well off the middle, so you want to see, you're almost keen at
exactly. No, 100%. I think, ultimately you're playing golf with your miss and not your best one, because the best one's always going to be good, and that's not going to be a problem, but you definitely want your toe miss to be hanging up in the air a little bit more. You want your heel miss to be a little bit less spinny and all these things. And those would be things that, I would look for in changing a driver. I would do a lot of that stuff on the golf course and just see, okay, if I try to hit this shot, because I like to work it both ways as well. It's not just always going to be the same shot. So how does it do, when I'm doing this or when I'm doing that? And you don't really, it's hard to simulate that on the range. I guess you can, but it's easier to do that on the golf course when you have the targets and the lines and the trees. And so obviously you get the baseline on the numbers on the range just to see how it performs. And then I would take it out on the golf course as much as I can.
Cool. Yeah, we've always advocated that. And if you can get it in a real life situation and just see those nuances, it's really interesting and helps with the process. Yeah. So fairway woods, I'm guessing, now correct me if I'm wrong here, this will be somewhere you may have been having a little tinker and a play about, because I'm sure there's some people at Titleist who are quite keen to get you into some fairway wood product, because you've been using the TaylorMade Stealth 2, 3, 5, and even 7 wood at times. Is that right?
Yeah, I've actually been using the 7 more than the 5. It's been in the bag pretty much, I'd say 85% of the tournaments I play this year. So yeah, my wood setup would be the 3 within the 7 wood, the Stealth. And I love how it sits on the ground. It sits very flat on the ground and it feels like it's easy to get up in the air. I used to, in college, I used to play a 2-iron a lot more, which was nice. But then, when I got to the PGA Tour and realized that you need some height coming into the par 5s, and the 2-iron wasn't really going to give me that. So we made the switch, I think, about a year ago, maybe 10 months ago, something like that, right at the start of last year. And tried around with the 7 wood, and it's been really good for me, I think.
So just one thing, just while we're on fairway woods, Stealth 2 has been really popular. Obviously, the new QI10 model has been popular. I've been noting up and down, I do a lot of geeky checking of equipment lists because it's part of my job. There's so many better players in glued hosel fairway woods rather than the adjustable that you see more in drivers. Have you got any theories on why that is, or why people just seem to be more comfortable in that bonded hosel and why you're there?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think, a 3 wood is so, you don't necessarily need a certain ball speed, or you just need it to get you from A to B the easiest way possible, because it's not like a driver where you're trying to maximize the speed. It's not like a 7-iron that you're exactly trying to hit at 150, whatever. So I think whatever you feel comfortable with, and if that's an old club, that's fine. If that's a new one, that's fine. But I think for me, at least, I want a 3-wood that I can make sure I can get it up in the air. I want it to have enough spin so it doesn't come out really, low spin and nuked, because you want to have that same control. And, I guess the glued head maybe gives you that a little bit more. But yeah, to be honest, I've actually never even tried the TaylorMade. I guess the adjustable head.
Adjustable head. Okay, and interesting. Without wanting to stitch anyone up, do the people at Titleist, how forthcoming are they in trying to move you into Titleist fairway woods? Because obviously I've tried the whole GT range and the fairway woods are great. So they just let you get on and just understand they want you to play your best golf with what you're comfortable with, or is there some sort of movement there?
Yeah, I think ideally from their side you would use Titleist clubs all through the bag. Obviously, in a perfect world that would be the case, but I think ultimately they understand what your preferences are as a player and what you like and what you don't like. And, there's plenty of guys playing the Titleist woods and there's plenty of guys that don't. So I'm just one of the guys that I played Titleist woods through college. And once I tried the TaylorMade, the Stealth ones, I really liked them because it provided me with a little bit of a flatter sole and it just felt a little bit nicer. But yeah, ultimately they want you to play the best golf. That's the best way to do it. And they have the understanding of what your personal preferences are.
Cool. Makes good sense. Okay. And then I was going to talk about your 2-iron a bit, but have we confined it to the closet, or does it come out on occasions? Because I remember you whipping around Croix-sur-Sierre in the European Masters, your 718 TMB, just hitting some rockets around those the tight tree-lined Croix-sur-Sierre. And then I saw you testing out T200 for a little while. Where are you on that? If you had to go and play a 2-iron course tomorrow, what would be in the bag?
Yeah, I think if I had to go play a 2-iron, I would go with the TMB, the old one, the old trusty. And I put it in the bag a long time ago. I think it must have been around 2018, maybe early 2018 when I started using it. But yeah, I tinkered a little bit with the KBS shaft earlier this year and the other 2-iron. I guess what I wanted to was what I alluded to before as well, a little bit more height off the ground, because obviously off the tee you can always launch it, but off the ground into a few of those par 5s, I felt like that one might give me a little bit more height. But I think I just like the way that the old trusty feels. I like a little bit of a softer feel to it, and it felt like I was hitting a 4-iron, but it was going a little bit further. So I think if I were to go tomorrow to play around, I would go with the old TMB 2-iron.
And are those the ones that interchange? Is it 7-wood and 2-iron that you're kind of picking between?
Yeah.
Right.
So if I were to make a switch, it would be between those two.
Cool. Okay, into the irons. So in the new T100s now from Titleist, you're in the 2019 model for a long time. How was that transition and what are the main differences?
I think so. Like I said before, I'm never going to be a guy that changes too much. And I was holding on to those T100s very hard. And I think I was on my 3rd set maybe when I made the switch.
Wow.
So I really liked the rounder, softer top line of the 2019 ones. And once the 21 came, it felt like it was a little bit sharper and it was a little bit thinner top line on it. So just visually, I didn't really like it. It didn't really look appealing to me. But once these 23 ones came out, I loved it. I thought they were great, and I put it in the bag, I think, late last year, late 2023, I think, and been using it ever since. And it provides me with a little bit more stability, a little bit more consistent spin, and actually a little bit more spin as well. So yeah, I'm loving it.
I've heard in a couple of videos you talk quite often about kind of the curved lines and rounded toes and stuff like that. Are you quite visual with like particularly irons and wedges? I've heard you speak about that. Is that a big thing for you visually?
Yeah, I think so. It's funny because when I'm lining up the shot, when I'm at address, I always look at the toe, like the toe top line of the club before I pull it back. So maybe that's why when that looks appealing, it looks a little bit nicer to me.
There you go. Okay, so into wedges. Now, you're going to have to help me out here because you're one of the guys I see flicking around with lob wedges more than anyone else. So SM10, 50 degree, 8 degrees of bounce, 54 degree in the S grind, 10 bounce, all pretty standard. But in terms of lob wedge, I've seen V grinds in your bag. I've seen M grind. I've seen a special K grind. I've even seen a T grind. So you're clearly a guy that likes to match the wedge to the course rather than a Spieth that would stick with the same wedge and potentially alter technique. Talk me through that.
Yeah, I think so. I think last year, I was tinkering with it a lot. I was trying to, because we play so many different surfaces and different bunkers and different, sands and all these things. I wanted to test it out, and then, okay, I have all these options and what would fit me the best. I figured out the T grind is not for me. It's way too sharp. It's way too diggy. I like to use the bounce. So I think the go-to for me is the V grind. It's got a little bit more bounce, but it's still shaved on the back of it. So it feels a little bit easier for me when I open up. But then I've been using a K Star as well, which is a little bit of a lower bounce, but it still has a little bit more on the back. So trying it out a little bit, see what's working the best. And I think next year I'll be a little bit less tinkery with that. And I'll know a little bit more of what I want for this specific golf course. But I think it's fun too. I think it's fun to see the different reactions and how it goes to the sand, how it goes to the turf, and just play around with it.
So, stupid question here. I've always wondered this. When people are taking a lot of clubs to the event and you're taking, say, 3-4 different lob wedges, what happens to the ones that you're benching? Do they just stay in a locker? Do they stay in your hotel room? What do you do? Where do you rest them?
Yeah, I always keep if I travel with obviously backup too for my drivers and my woods. And then I'll keep them in the locker room, and then I'll throw the wedges that I'm not using in there too.
Good. At least I know they're safe now. I can sleep easy. Right, putter. So we're still in the LT, the White Hot, the Versa 1.
So that's the one thing that I've been tinkering with a little bit too. I've always been a blade guy, and I think it's in my blood a little bit with a blade. But I've been tinkering around with a different putter a little bit. It's the same line, it's the same model, same insert, but it's a 7 instead. So a little bit more of a mallet with the two, I guess, fangs that goes out at the end. Nothing set in stone. I think it's just a good time to tinker with it, use it, see if the performance goes up without really changing my methods really. And if it goes, it goes. If not, I'm sure I'll be back with the old trusty blade.
So do you say sort of same specs because you've got quite not an unusual necessarily spec, but you play quite a long putter. Is it still kind of 36 and a half? Is that right?
36 and a half. Yeah. I started with that actually my junior year in college, I think. I was a 34 for a long time, but I felt like I just lost the connection with my arms. It was too much this way, too hunched over, and this just gave my posture a little bit of a straighter stance, I guess.
Cool, perfect. Okay, that's great. And then finally, last couple of bits. Ball wise, you've been in the 23 Pro V1X. Have you done any testing? I've just received my prototype pack from the 25 stuff. So have you done any testing of the 25 models? No,
it looks like you got it before me. I haven't seen it in balls. So I haven't tried it. Once again, I like the 23 one, and for me to make a change, it would have to mean a better result or a better performance. So I got no idea how to do this. I can't tell you that.
Okay, there you go. Well, just drop your address in the chat and I'll send you a sleeve. And then grips wise, I'm always a big grip geek. So you Golf Pride multi compounds, are you round or rid guy?
Round. Yeah. I don't have it.
Okay. And any specific extra layers of tape? Do you build up the bottom hand at all? Is it fairly standard?
No, just standard mid-size. Nothing.
Oh, so mid-size multi-compounds, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Perfect. Well, that's great. That's a real good look inside the bag of Ludvig Aberg. Really appreciate your time, Ludvig. Thank you very much for discussing all that. And best of luck with the recovery and best of luck next season.
Thank you. Perfect.
And there we go, Joe. Great interview, Ludvig.
Thank you. a very aspirational man. I found him to be.
Yeah.
he's just the picture of health in good physical condition.
I was a bit anxious because when a football player goes under the knife with a knee surgery like he had, they're out for the season. He's managed just to sort of miss the back half of last year. He was at Kapalua, which is the last event we've watched about a month ago now. So he's all right again, which is good. I was worried because he's a generational talent.
He is a generational talent, and I just, I loved his attitude towards his club. He's not too tech-minded, just wants it to work for him. Happy to stick with things for a long time. He's not a big chopper and changer. Just a very impressive young man, articulate, thoughtful, calming.
Yeah, no, he is. He's chill. He's a chill Scandi guy.
Chill guy, isn't he? He's got a lot of longevity. His action, his swing is so low maintenance. It looks like he's going to be as good as that for years. And his game's just absolutely made for majors. Just a ball striker who drives the bejesus out of it.
The bejesus. And if anything did change, I know you just said he's not a chopper and changer, but if it did, that interview was in October. This is now February.
I think some stuff has changed.
So I apologise for that, but it is what it is, isn't it? And he's still got a nice bit of insight into...
Only bits and bobs.
Yeah.
And he's only into GT now, I think.
Okay, fine. That's absolutely fine. And thank you to Adidas for putting that together for us. You spoke about the Adi Zero ZG, their new shoe. My review for that is down in the description now. If you want to go and read about it, it's available now as well from February the 1st. So again, thanks to Adidas for that. We'll talk about it in more detail either next week or the week after. Who knows?
I'm in the market for some more shoes this year, Dan.
Yeah, I'll sort that out. I can help you out with that. Shame not the same size.
Just putting it out there.
Yeah, okay.
Well, you're left-handed as well, though.
I'm left-handed.
Yeah.
They do left-handed shoes. You know they do a left-handed bag?
No.
Titleist. Yeah,
Yeah.
left-handed bag. So if you think about it,
The world's gone mad.
if I'm playing in this direction to my right, sorry audio listeners, you're going to have one here, but the bag goes down here where my laptop is, and I'm playing that way, swing the call.
You want to scoop it.
Swing, I want to really hit something awful like that. And then I put my club in my bag, and then I've got to go, because the strap's on that way, I said awful. Because the strap's on that way, I have to walk around my bag to put it over my right shoulder. But a left-handed bag is totally flipped, so I can put my club in my bag like that, pick up the thing from the left-hand side, loop it over my left shoulder, and off I go. It saves literally tens of steps per round.
It's one of the maddest things I've ever heard.
I hated it. It was awful. I won one in a raffle. This wasn't even a golf thing. I won one in a raffle, and was like, it's left-handed. I'm left-handed. What a joy! It was awful to use because I'm not actually left dominant.
There you
so
go.
it just felt weird.
I've got nothing to
Why
add
are we
to that.
Why are we talking about that?
I don't know.
Why are we
Gone,
talking
haven't we?
about that?
End of a long day.
End of a long day. So it's time to wrap up, isn't it, Joe? That's it. Next week we don't know because not planned it yet, which is fine.
Subscribe, comments, add loads of comments, 5-star reviews. Tell us how great we are. Wendy, stay in touch. Everything else.
That's perfect, isn't it? Can we ever beat Wendy? Can anyone beat Wendy on the emails? Try.
Challenge.
Thank you for listening. We're back next week for more of the same nonsense. See you later, Joe.
Never done that before.